clinical and epidemiologic research in September 2009 carried out a survey to unravel causes of blindness and visual impairment in Nigeria, with the title Nigeria National Blindness and Visual Impairment Survey. The findings disclose that Nigeria has a population then 146.25 million as of 2008 and is the most populous country on the African continent then and even now. That the country ranks 8 amongst the 10 countries with the largest populations in the world. Nigeria, Africa's biggest economy, is ranked 163 in the United Nations Human Development Index for the second consecutive year. A new report by UN Development Programme shows as at 8 September 2022. It further indicated that Nigeria has an area of 923,768 kilometers square with diverse climatic conditions ranging from equatorial in the south to tropical in the center and arid in the north. The country is inhabited by 250 different ethnic groups. There are 6 geopolitical zones, 36 states, and 1 federal capital territory. Data on the prevalence and causes of blindness at a national level are essential for developing national policies and strategies for optimal utilization of available resources and for the elimination of avoidable blindness. Nigeria, as a signatory to Vision 2020, drew up a national plan for achieving its goals in line with the resolution of the 56th World Health Assembly. To bridge the evidence gap for planning, the federal government fully endorsed and supported National Survey on Blindness and Visual Impairment conducted from 2005 to 2007. The purpose of the survey was to determine the prevalence, causes, and magnitude of blindness in Nigeria. Studies have shown that over 34 to 69% of childhood blindness in Nigeria is caused by corneal opacity, which results mainly from interplay of vitamin A deficiency, measles, and harmful traditional eye practices. Nearly 3% of children younger than 18 years are blind or visually impaired, defined as having trouble seeing even when wearing glasses or contact lenses. The most common vision problem in school-age children is blurry vision or refractive error caused by nearsightedness, that's myopia, farsightedness, hyperopia, and astigmatism resulting in blurry vision. In Nigeria, so many children and young adults have lost their sight to several factors. Here is a gentleman, Kingsley Kowedi, looking all dressed up, neat and ready to begin the day's business. His eyes wide open, looking bright and near perfect as he mingles with other children about his age, trying to feel free and part of the pack, though no one will ever suspect a thing about his real situation. However, the only thing that gives him away is the walking cane, which reveals that something is actually wrong with him. But then, that is where the challenge lies. An incident that happened many years ago had altered the entire course of his life.
I woke up one morning and I was going out for my normal, usual activities. So that was how I lost my sight. Nothing happened. I was 13 years old. In fact, I was walking about. I was doing some house chores when I lost the sight. I was confused when my eyes just went off suddenly and I was just confused. I could not understand what was happening. I just had to manage to go inside at that point and remain.
His future became a major source of concern as he struggled to accept the new strange status of a blind boy.
When I got blind at first I became worried about my future because I never knew that someone, a visually impaired person, can continue schooling. So that was the first thing that disturbed me, my education. I was like worried, will it be the end of me or be the end of my future before I got to know about the school.
This has come with diverse challenges for him.
My challenge presently is, someone that has seen, that was seen before. I was very good in reading. I was very good in reading print documents. My biggest challenge now is that I'm coming to adapt to the system of reading for the blind, Braille. Though I'm coping very well, but my reading is not that fluent. Most people don't normally know that, or they don't know that I am visually impaired because my eyes are open, and most times nobody really pays attention. Even with my staff, there is no awareness about the materials of visually impaired people. Sometimes I go with my mobility cane as a means of identification, but nobody knows. They don't care. They just want to pull you down and they don't know innocently. They just come and maybe push you aside. Maybe as I'm walking slowly, they push you until when they get to know, this guy cannot see, and they will come, oh sorry, can't you see?
He is not alone. There are many cases just like his. Another is a 13-year-old that AD4 TV radio came across at the National Center for Women Development, Abuja. He had joined hundreds of other children to mark an international children's event.
Who is talking?
You.
Ianu. Sorry?
Ianu.
Yeah?
Ianu.
Okay, what class are you, please?
Primary 4.
Primary 4. Tell me how you cope as a physically challenged person with school. How do you cope in school? You understand English?
Yes.
What are the challenges you have? What are the issues you have with school as a physically challenged person?
My name is Daniel.
Okay. Were you born with visual impairment? At what age did you develop it? At what age did you have this visual impairment?
Just like that.
Sorry?
Just like that.
At what age? Can you remember when you started to not see well?
That time I was 6 years.
Both boys are students of FCT School for the Blind, Jabi, located somewhere in the heart of Abuja. The academic institution, which caters strictly for the blind and visually impaired persons, is equipped with staff, facilities, and adequate learning equipment relevant to blind and visually impaired education.
The state of education for FCT, as well as for other states in Nigeria, for persons with visual impairment, I can say is a little bit behind other countries. By the countries I mean like the USA, the UK, whole European countries, and Southeast Asian countries. Yeah, we might say that we have information and communication technology for the blind, but they are not enough to go around the population of blind people in the FCT. And I'm even afraid to say that not all blind people in the FCT can be able to manipulate a computer, let alone using it fully for their studies. So that is the state of our educational pursuit, especially restrictive on FCT.
Ilimi shine ginshikin ci gaban kowace irin al'umma. Wane irin kima ne hukumar gudanarwa na birnin tarayya ta baiwa ilimi? Kasafin nawa ne aka ware wa bangaren ilimi? Ta yaya ake amfani da waɗannan kuɗaɗen da aka ware wa ilimi? Menene matsayin ingancin malamai da ɗalibai da waɗanda suka kammala manyan makarantu da kuma su kansu makarantun da ake gudanar da harkokin koyo da koyarwa? Domin samun amsoshi, kasance tare da Leaves and Worms a cikin shirin baje koli da faɗakarwa wanda ake gabatarwa a kowane mako a tashar AD4 TV Radio, wanda cibiyar Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism tare da haɗin gwiwar gidauniyar MacArthur Foundation suka ɗauki nauyi. A kasance tare da shirin.
AD4 TV Radio, however, discovered the challenges in educating the visually impaired and the modalities for ensuring quality assurance in tertiary institutions of learning in Nigeria.
Going through the university was not easy. Right now, I think I'm a postgraduate person. I have my master's in education, administration, and planning. But while going through the school, it was not easy. Because you see a lot of schools, they tell you, no, we can't accommodate you. We don't have the facilities and all the rest of them. Even up to today, a lot of our people are still facing those challenges of exclusion. No, we cannot take you, and so on and so forth. And so growing up in the university was not easy. You need to turn the light in the night. You need to read. Sometimes you're looking for somebody to record for you. You can't see. Sometimes you're looking for somebody to help you, assist you in one thing or the other. You cannot see. And so it is by the grace of God that we have overcome some of these challenges. It wasn't very easy. Most universities in Nigeria exclude blind persons. Some of the universities that can take blind persons anytime in the University of Jos and one or two universities, but in the absence of that, a lot of schools in Nigeria are not inclusive.
The challenges are the inaccessible materials, and what makes the materials to be inaccessible is the expensive nature of such materials. I can give you an example if you permit me. Braille computer, a computer for the blind in Braille. It's running into like £4,195 in the UK, which here, if it were to be converted here, it will amount to 2.5 million or 3 million. So it is not easy for each and every person with visual impairment to have a specific computer costing 2.5 million or 3 million and to be able to use it as effectively as possible. That's one of the challenges. And the other challenges is that, the other challenge I can say is that many people do find education for persons with visual impairments to be lackadaisical. That's uninteresting. They find it lackadaisical in the sense that they will think, this person is blind. Why should we have to spend such and such amount of money for him or for her to study when there are thousands of sighted people who could benefit from such empowerment to be provided to them? So the lackadaisical attitude demonstrated to persons with visual impairments is one other challenge that we persons with visual impairments do face. If those should be addressed, I believe the sky will be the limit in the ability for persons with visual impairments to study alongside their able-bodied ones in all tertiary institutions as well as secondary or primary.
Those with visual problems, be it partial, low vision, or total blindness, need higher education to be liberated from the shackles of pity and sympathy.
You know that in education, we have the primary education, we have the secondary, and we have the tertiary. The only place where you have the school for the blind is in the primary stroke secondary education. And even in the secondary education, there are schools that are inclusive, and that is what we preach. Those schools, they mainstream both blind and those that are not blind. But in the university, there are no special schools. And so like in Abuja here, we have Jabi School for the Blind. is a special school for the blind people, and it's a primary school where people go from primary 1 to 6, and when they go out of that very place, they go to the secondary. One of the schools that accommodate all blind persons in Abuja here is Kwali School for the Blind. So they accommodate a lot of our people in that very place. And so for the School for the Blind, Jabi here, yes, they have all it takes to train up persons that are blind. But in the secondary, well, the School for the Blind in Kwali, they are trying. At least they have some of the necessary requirements to train up the blind persons. But in the university, you have to cater for yourself. You have to buy your computer, you have to buy your braille machines, you have to get your recorders, and even to look for people that can assist you in reading or recording your books. So the primary here is okay. The secondary, they are coming up small, and then the university in Nigeria is what I don't know what they're doing.
Investigations by AD4 TV radio show that the educational needs of the visually impaired include computer application, optical aids, and braille writing materials.
The relevancy of the materials to them is something which is very, very pronounced, I can say, because I try to get stuff with words, It is very relevant for them, because without these materials, they will not be able to study in integrated either secondary schools or primary schools or tertiary schools of concern. So the relevance, it's very, very relevant for them to have these equipment. If they don't have it, it will hamper their own studies. It will make their studies not to go completely successful.
Issues of mobility, funding, library resources, personnel availability, and physical infrastructural facilities. Recommendations were proffered to tackle the issues and challenges identified.
For mobility for blind persons is another thing. Not all of us are specialized or good in mobility. There are some people who can go anywhere they want to go, they don't need an aid. But there are some people who don't. And so mobility is a task for persons with visual impairments. We use white cane, which we celebrate on every October 15 to move or navigate our ways. And the white cane, with the white cane, you can find out the places you have obstacles and deviate from those places. And so the mobility is something that not all of us are very good in it, but we are still trying our best. On the part of funding, is a very big task. It is our families that take our responsibility in financial issues. The government doesn't do that. The government doesn't pay our school fees. We pay our school fees, and we continue to struggle. Even those that are in the university will continue to struggle. If our families continue to struggle, to make sure that our fees and everything that we need are taken care of financially. Then on infrastructure, we know that Nigeria as a country, we have very bad infrastructure. According to National Disability Act 2019, it states that public places should be made accessible to persons with disability. And a 5-year moratorium or grace period was given, starting from 2019. And by this year, we have only 1 year left. But I can tell you that our places are not made accessible. There are so many things, so many steps, gutters, open places, manholes, here and there, houses, high buildings without, lift and all the rest of them. And even those that have lift, that lift is not accessible because they cannot talk and all the rest of them. And so these are issues that we are facing. We are calling on public places, those who own public places, malls, gardens, name them, to please, make your places accessible for persons with disability. Remember that after this 1 year that we have now, by next year, January, we start suing people. And so that you will not be part of those that should be sued to go and pay fine or to be jailed. So that's what we are pleading to people to please do that.
It has been discovered that assistive technologies have great potential for adapting learning environments to enhance learning for the visually impaired. However, there is limited research on the utilization of assistive technologies to support their teaching and learning. Findings further reveal that most children face the barriers of inclusion and participation due to inaccessible learning environments and staff capacity, constraints for inclusive teaching approaches.
Now, in education, we're talking about inclusive education. Now, inclusive education is education for all, which is provided to all and sundry, irrespective of one's ability or special need. So in this instance, I do encourage, or I do plead that our government should have inclusive schools, many inclusive schools in the country, so that while the able-bodied are being taught in a given classroom setting, there could be specialists who will be employed to provide teacher assistance services to the few persons with disabilities in a given classroom. I believe this will address whatever challenge we might have as per study in a classroom setting, especially for our persons with visual impairments and the generality of persons with special needs.
There is the issue of inadequate specialized equipment and technologies development. Intervention for staff will no doubt yield positive results on the role of assistive technologies in inclusive participation.
We need much more staff. I mean, we are being understaffed, so to say. So, thank God, many tertiary institutions are doing special education. They are offering special education. So those who have the qualification to teach in persons with different disabilities, be they visual impairment or hearing impairment or physically challenged, should be employed into different schools in the country. When they are employed, they will be given the task of making our children with special needs to participate in classroom settings. So I appeal that there should be more special teachers to be offered employment, and after their employment, there should be, I mean, their salary or emolument, that's the word I was looking for, should be high in order to sort of encourage them to face their own work of helping our persons with disabilities to be able to participate fully and effectively in classroom activities.
Unlocking potential for enhanced teaching and learning of students with visual impairment in public schools will enable them fulfill their potentials and contribute to national development despite being physically challenged, experts say.
We are blind persons. The government should give us free education. Our books should be given to us free. Recorders should be given to us. Even the white canes and all that we need, the government should be give to us. If in a situation they cannot give us, at least they will give us rebate. If it is 1,000 naira, they can give us, let's pay half of it, or let's pay 1/3 of it, or thereabout, and they pay the remaining. And then some of our assistive devices, like the white cane and all the rest of them, they should be allowed to come into the country without any duty attached to it. Because the problem we have is that most of these things have their duties. And then I also prefer that most of these things should be produced locally. I can't see in a situation where in Abuja you have only 1 or 2 schools that have braille embossers. You know, how much is braille embosser? It's not more than 5 million. But I think it is 1 or 2 schools that have it in Abuja, which is very, very wrong. Before I want to braille a book, I will just run down to this place. I'll just run down to this place and do it. So I'm pleading to the government, please help blind persons by giving them most of these things free, or, you know, taking away the duty that is attached to all these things, so that it will be easy for persons with disability, blind persons, to get all these things and use them while they go to school.